Morning everyone, my name is Cameron Stephen, the guy that bounced back from a brain injury. I'm going to deliver this speech talking slowly and not jumping all over the place, which I usually do in my speeches with lots of energy. But this speech is going to be about brain injuries and aphasia. And aphasia is something that people don't really understand what it is. And aphasia is an impairment to be able to communicate, processing and understanding speech. And every brain injury and every person with aphasia are all different. And we all have a lot of challenges in our life because communicating is a huge thing for people to do, right? Now, if you can't communicate and you can't speak properly and you have a hard time finding your words, my thing is, I was diagnosed 3 years after my accident with something called anomic aphasia. And I have a hard time processing, understanding. I have a hard time expressing myself. So doing these speech is really amazing because I couldn't do it last year or the 6 years before that. So with aphasia, which everybody that is going through aphasia, it's very, very difficult to get your message across. And people think that people with aphasia might be slow because they're not understanding or not processing, or they can't speak, or one of these things, or one of these other things. Everybody's different. And the only way for people to understand people with aphasia is by talking slow and being calm. Now, just because you can't find the words to say something, or you can't speak, or you have a hard time processing, doesn't mean you're not aware of things. And people misunderstand and don't really understand the mechanics behind it. And it is a very difficult disability to have because after my accident, I went back and tried to live my own life. And when you can't communicate properly, and you can't find the words to say, like I would think to say sink and I would say toilet. I'd try to say someone's word, their name, and I'd say another word. So just like doing these speeches, it's very difficult for me to deliver them properly. That's why when I get up in the morning, I do a meditation, I do exercise, I work out, I hit the bags, I have my shakes. Now, I understand that a lot of people are limited by things they do. So some people might be in a wheelchair and have aphasia and a brain injury. And you can't jump around and do the dance and stuff like I say. But here's what I can tell you, is why don't we try to do the things we can that makes us relax and makes us calm, right? And meditation is like a life changer. And I mean, I couldn't even speak properly for a long time. But meditation has really helped me get through a lot of my challenges in my life. And we can't control anything but ourselves. And when you have a brain injury, people that are your friends and your family and even caregivers, it's hard to understand because every brain injury is different, right? So how do you communicate with someone with a brain injury? Very difficult. And I feel bad for the people that have to go through this. But the people that actually have the disabilities, it is so hard to manage through life. And all I can say is that use what you can use to make yourself better. And meditation, you can breathe. And breathing can help you start to build yourself up to possibly be able to do other things. So people that can't dance and they can't work out and they can't do these things, well, you can do some things. You can meditate, and that's the deep breathing, and it truly, truly works. You can listen to affirmations, positive things will make you feel good and take you away from baggage that's in your life. And when you have a brain injury, wow, every day is different. Like today, there's a big storm going on, right? There's a rain and there's storm and stuff. Well, me, myself, when it rains, it totally changes me and it affects me. That's why I have to do a routine every day, because when you have a brain injury, you're like a yo-yo. You're up and down and you can't process the things that are coming at you. And with aphasia, you're not born with aphasia. Aphasia comes from strokes, and I had 3 strokes. It comes from a brain injury, it comes from an infection in your brain, and to communicate and try to make yourself better and understand what your caregivers, your family, or your friends is difficult for them, but it's a nightmare for people with aphasia. And people have to be patient, and they have to talk slow and show a lot of love. And it is a very difficult disability to walk through. Now, I finally got to the rehabilitation center 3 years after my accident, and the 3 years before that was a nightmare, and everybody thought I was a weirdo. And the thing is that I just can't process the whole information sometimes. Well, it was way, way, way worse before I really got on my routine and started doing things to make me feel better. But when you have a brain injury and when you have aphasia, anything that comes at you out of the box, you're not prepared for it, which is hard to process. It's hard to understand, right? Communication is a huge thing for people to be able to communicate. If that's taken away from you and your whole identity is taken away, it's so hard to find a way to dance in the rain when there's a big storm on your back. And what I've had to do is really focus on the meditation, because if I don't exercise and I don't have my shake, but as long as I meditate and I breathe deeply and I breathe in 4 seconds, like a wave right from your belly. So breathe in through your nose for 4 seconds. From your belly all the way to the top of your head, and hold it. And blow out the things that you can't control. Because my life is always coming at me with obstacles and interference and things that I don't understand. And what helps me the most is meditation. Before anything else, but I do it all. And because I've done it all, I've fixed my vision. It's a lot better. I mean, it's still bad. I can't see my people's noses, but I can see a speck of dirt on the ground. I can see someone's hair on their eyebrows. So those things are really improving. The same as my process and understanding. That's why I like doing these speeches in the morning, because I do the meditation, I do the dance, I hit the bags, I do some yoga, I drink the shake, lift weights. Whatever I can do that helps me to have balance through the things I can't control, it really helps me. And if a lot of things are coming at me, well, I meditate more, and it really helps me to find the peace, because it gives you that time to relax from the noise in your head. Because when you have aphasia, you can't process. It's just like everything's coming in at once. And I dealt with this for years and years and years. So with aphasia and brain injuries, for me, I'm better when I'm one-on-one. If I have a crowd or I have a bunch of people, all the conversations and everything come at once. The filters are damaged. People have a hard time reading with aphasia as well. But I'm told that the reason why I can't read, well, I can read a little bit now, it's nothing to do with my aphasia, but the brain is so complicated, and there's so many things that go wrong and that can affect someone's being able to function in life. And it is a nightmare and impossible to go through. It really is. Honestly, people with aphasia and brain injuries, people should give them more patience. They should talk slowly so they can understand, which I apologize big time. Because in my speeches sometimes I got a lot of energy because I have a lot of passion is trying to deliver these messages. But I understand that aphasia, it's all about talking slowly and delivering that message the right way. Because it's all about communicating. So if we really love somebody, then we have to be patient and we have to make some changes in order to communicate. Because aphasia does not affect anybody's intelligence. But people are judged for not being able to speak properly, for not understanding. For 3 years, I had no idea I had aphasia. I had no idea that I had prosopagnosia, face blindness. I had no idea my filters were damaged. So when you try to guide through life and you're a boss and a leader and you've helped many, many people in your life and then you can't understand but you're still aware of things. So when people make fun of people with a brain injury or aphasia, well, the person with the brain injury and aphasia can understand, even though it affects your process of understanding. It's so hard and complicated to understand. But we really have to all work together and have compassion for people that are going through disabilities in their life. Because sometimes they're invisible and you don't even know. Like when you look at me, you can't tell there's anything wrong with me. But I've battled with so many disabilities since my accident. And what's worked the best for me is to always have snacks on me. Because sometimes when your brain is not working the way you want it to, maybe you need to have something to eat. But maybe you need to relax. And by relaxing, you can do yoga, like Chloe from the Brain Association. You can do Tai Chi. You can do meditation, which really, really helps me. But everything helps me. But meditation is like the bread and butter that's really helped me to heal. And I really, really, really couldn't understand things for 3 years. And I would just say, yeah, yeah. And because I was a boss, well, people would listen to me for a while. But then they started realizing that I wasn't really understanding, right? So the nodding, yeah, you understand, but you don't. Because your ego takes a hold of you and you just say, yeah, so really you're not getting the information. So your friends and your family, they're not getting it either because they think that you're understanding. But when people talk too fast or there's too information to process, well, you don't get the whole thing, right? You get bits and pieces of it and you try to put it together, right? Well, I'll tell you, because of my routine and my consistency of meditating every morning and exercising every day and doing my yoga and hitting the bags and drinking my shake, well, it's done wonders for me. And I swear that if people get on a routine with meditation when they have too many disabilities to do other things, well, you can breathe. And I promise, breathing consistently every day, you are going to start to repair the damage in your brain. It's worked for me, and I keep healing. I keep healing more and more. That neuroplasticity really works too. So if you can't do a job and you're limited, well, you can still do brain teasers on the computer. You can always find a way to improve yourself. It might not be exactly the same way I'm doing mine, but you can all breathe. You can all meditate. And I promise, if you start to introduce this into your life, it's going to do wonders for you. It really has for me. It's a life changer for me. And I appreciate it. I went through a lot of storms in my life, and there's a lot of things that I can't even talk about. The worst thing that's ever happened to me, I can't talk about. And I can't control those things. All I can do is control myself. And if we control ourselves, then we use the tools we can to be able to do that. to be able to guide through life. And I promise to everyone that if you start to meditate by itself, it's going to bring you peace. Because when there's too much noise going on, too much processing going on, too much trying to speak, so every time you try to do something, you're using that energy, you're processing to do those things. So start meditating, and it's really going to change your life. With a brain injury, with aphasia, without a brain injury, it's going to help you 100%. I'm Cameron Stephen, and I wanted to give some tips and some ways to guide through impossible situations. Check out my webpage, www.cameronstephen.ca. I just wanted to thank the Rehabilitation Center because they've given me tools like meditation. They taught me with my anger, different things that they've helped me with. And I really appreciate it. So check out them. Check out the Brain Association. I want to actually say really super thanks to John and Daniel from Creative Curve. They helped me put my webpage together, and they've helped guide me through a lot of things to help me. And someone else that's really helped me is Donna Williamson from the March Dimes. I did my first speech with people that had strokes, and I really appreciate it. If anybody wants to get a hold of me and I can help in any way, give me a call, 902-414-5655. Take care. I love everyone.